are up to something. If I missed today, maybe by tomorrow we might not even have met him. It is that bad. It was that scary. So I think the rogue police officer should be kept off the streets.
They need a reorientation. They need a digital database system. You arrested, apprehended someone, and you cannot give an information about the person. How can you just restrict a citizen from not communicating with his family? It is totally wrong. So I think the government should really look into this issue of policing system.
All right, so we have the side of the driver and his family members. We have attempted to reach out to the other side, which is the police, of course. Our correspondent, Soibi Oruwari, has reached out to the force headquarters, Frankenbach, and is yet to get a response. But joining me via phone is Mr. Henry Ekine. He's a human rights lawyer because, of course, as you can tell, this borders on infringement of human rights. Good morning, Mr. Ekine.
Yes, good morning, Sam.
Thank you very much for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, and you? Thank you for having me this morning.
That was a pleasure. So as far as we know, with this particular case, he was apprehended without knowing why. He was detained for 5 days. He was starved for the entirety of that time, except for one meal, which he claims he got. The family alerted police about their missing relative, and the officers denied arresting him, of course, until his car exposed them. I'd like to know, based on the information we have, how many of his rights were infringed upon?
Yeah, thank you. A number of his rights, with the story I've listened, very pathetic and condemnable, have been violated. And these rights, of course, begin with the right to his dignity as a person. And then because he had mentioned that he was slapped, he was tortured, and of course he was exposed to some suffering deliberately inflicted on him. So his right to dignity of his human person has been violated and abused. And it will be instructive for us to draw the attention of those who are listening that the acts of torture as defined or provided under Section 2 of the Anti-Torture Act 2017 are so elaborate to the extent that it includes most of the unfortunate deliberate treatment against this young man. So his right to personal liberty is also being violated. And in right to liberty is the right to be free, except where you reasonably, not just by some discretion, have committed an offense. That's when that right may be suspended. But as it is, his right to his liberty has been violated so enormously. Being arrested and being detained well outside of when the period that the Constitution has provided. It's instructive to state here that our Constitution is so very clear as to how long a person must be kept in custody without an order of court and without any arraignment or allegation of any known law or known offense to law. And happened to this young man. He's been detained for 5 years. It's important for people to understand that there is no justification for detaining any person beyond 24 hours. In fact, we have taken out actions for enforcement of fundamental rights when even someone is detained for 1 hour without justification, without lawful reason. So keeping someone for 5 days is far outside of what the law has provided, which is the 24 hours. And 24 hours for me, arguably, does not even suffice anymore in Nigeria, or let's say even in River State, because, Sam, 24 hours we always brandish. It's only when there is no court of competent jurisdiction within 40 kilometers radius. And you know what 40 kilometers means? It's almost like from here to Aba, where we have police stations almost in every 50 or 100 meters in Port Harcourt. So even that provision of the Constitution cannot be an excuse by any arresting or detaining authority in Nigeria or in River State at the moment. Because at the point from Borokiri, where the Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Unit is, or wherever they arrested him at Eneka, there are courts within less than 20, 30 meters, let alone 40 kilometers, that this young man would have been arraigned. So his rights, enormous, have been violated. He has been tortured. He has been denied of his right of liberty, personal liberty. He has, in fact, been denied one very important right, sir. Section 36, subsection 6 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria requires prompt and immediate information of reason of arrest to any person that any arresting authority arrests. Section 6 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act requires the same important relevant information to be given to any person the police arrest or any authority arresting any individual.
At the time of arrest or when you get to the station?
Immediately at the time of arrest. These are the things that these people need to be educated. The law is to the effect that immediately upon arrest, as you are arresting this individual, you should notify him why he's being arrested. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act has so clearly provided for that requirement of notification for the reason of arrest immediately. This is drawn from our Constitution. Like I said, Section 36 of Section 6 also requires that. Interestingly, even the Police Act, the very new Police Act themselves, their own act that regulates their activities, requires under Section 35, subsection 3, that they must notify the next of kin or any relative of any person that they arrest. This is crazy in society. These elements that find themselves in arresting authorities and agencies, I don't just know from where they reason. For God's sake, and they purport to be intelligence response team of the Inspector General of Police. It is embarrassing on the Inspector General of Police that persons who are conscripted into the intelligence response team will be acting in contravention of the provisions of the Police Act 2020. That you must notify the next of kin or a relative of the suspect you arrest of the fact of that arrest. Sam, people should listen, not even at the cost of the suspect. Meaning that if you're a police officer and you arrest someone and the person doesn't even have a phone on him, ask him, who can we get at? Who do we tell that you are under arrest? In the event that you arrested this person where probably nobody knows. And look at the story that is going on. That this individual was even reported to the police to be missing. It is embarrassing. And then he's in the custody of a state agent that has a responsibility to inform the person the reason of his arrest, to aid him, to assist him, to let his relatives know that he was under arrest and where he's being arrested. The reason you tell an arrestee or person you're arresting why you're arresting and where you have come from, where you're going, is so that his relatives will know where to come and address the issue. If you're not arresting a person for punishment, merely for punishment's sake, then you should avail yourself of your own details. You ask the policeman now, please tell me your name and give me your phone number so we could reach you. He will say no, and you're a public officer. Why are you hiding your number? Why are you hiding your identity? And why are you hiding someone in custody because you want to just punish him? Arrest is not meant to punish a citizen. Detention is not meant to punish a citizen. But it has turned to be punishment in the Nigerian context by these era police officers. I have just told you a number of his rights have been violated. A number of provisions of extant laws have been violated, even their own police act.
All right, Mr.
So
Ekine.
I do not know what this really is about.
Yeah, well, those are lots of rights violated there. But you said 24 hours. I know that I've heard before now that what the law provides is nobody should be detained beyond 48 hours. I'd like to get this clear. Is it 48 or 24 hours?
No, sir. Now let me explain to you what it is by the Constitution. There are two circumstances. In the first instance, like I said, and it's important for my background that I emphasize that nobody should be detained howsoever, even for a minute, unlawfully and unjustifiably, illegally. That's established. Then, what the provision of the Constitution, Section 35, is seeking to explain is to the effect that if you arrest a person at any location where you can find a court within 40 kilometers radius, for those who don't understand, 40 kilometers is far. It is 24 hours, sir. 1 day. 1 day. Meaning that 48 hours will only arise where there is no court within 4 kilometers radius. So it means that there could be circumstances that you don't even envisage 48 hours. It's not absolute that if you arrest a person, you still have a window of 48 hours. That is a demonstration of ignorance of the law by police officers and any arresting authority. And they need to be educated to that effect. It is a clear demonstration of ignorance of the law if you're detaining somebody without an order of court and on the guise that you are carrying out investigation. It is not a justification to detain a Nigerian citizen beyond 24 hours, sir. Now, investigation ought to come before arrest and detention. So if you arbitrarily arrest a Nigerian citizen and then you detain him, keep him in confinement, then you say you want to begin investigation. You have no experience to be a security agent. You are inept, as a matter of fact, it is not justified. That is the position of the Constitution, and that's the law.
All
So
right.
the 48 hours that we have heard maybe in the days of primary school or before we got exposed to this real enlightenment and true position of our law is where there is no court. Is there, except maybe in my village in Ogogolo, where from Ogogolo you may not access, in another way, you may not access any police station close or even a police post or any resemblance of that, perhaps in kilometers. Otherwise, here in Port Harcourt or in some cities, that within 40 kilometers you will not find the police station. It's not possible. So within 24 hours.
All right.
However, if you must detain any person beyond that 24 hours, you must have an order of court to that effect.
Okay.
They do that to the big men. They do that to politicians. They do that to National Assembly members. But they will do otherwise to important Nigerians who are actually real Nigerians.
All right. Now, the puzzling part of this, which you've pointed out, is that there was a missing persons report. The family actually reported to the police that their relative was missing. And it's crazy that he was at a detention center. So I'm concerned, how has the police responded to missing persons reports before now? If I report to a station that someone is missing, what has been the default response, the procedure of the police force?
What is reasonably expected? Just very recently, I had similar experience. My neighbor's brother was in just about the same experience. He was just whisked off and then no information. The same thing, we were looking for him and he had to go to the control room at the state headquarters. Now, the usual what one would expect reasonably, if you make a report of a missing person at the police, any police station in that, there is a requirement or expectation that they send a signal to the control room. So the control room will notify every police station or even other security agencies if they are working in synergy to inquire whether that person or a person of that identity is in their custody. So one would expect reasonably that the control room at the state command headquarters, Moscow Road, should therefore inquire from every police station whether that person is in custody. But I tell you, Sam, even these days, even when police officers or arresting agencies have someone in custody, they apparently even deny when relatives get to that particular police station. It happened in the case that I'm handling for a client. The same IGP IRT. They arrested my client, and then he was there. They took him out from his home very early in the morning. Nobody knew his whereabouts. And when relatives were looking around for him, even when they got there, they said he wasn't there. Until they identified his car, just exactly in this case, they saw his vehicle outside. The same thing about this. These errant police officers refused to identify and agree or accept that this young man was there until his relatives saw his car. That is criminal in itself. I say one thing, that security agencies and agents who indeed are expected to prevent crime and go after crime, criminal behaviors and investigate are committing crimes themselves. Do I tell you how? The Anti-Torture Act 2017 prohibits and criminalizes torture, meaning that if a police officer tortures a person, he's committing a crime himself, he should be arrested and prosecuted for that crime of torture. It is not immune, he's not immune from criminal proceedings. And now they have tortured the citizen. Can I also tell you in addition that torture as defined and explained under Section 2 of that Act is so elaborate to the extent that even exposing someone to custody unjustifiably is torture. Denying him food, like he said, that he was denying food for days and giving food once in 5 days was torture. Exposing him to that psychological distress is torture. That is Section 2 of the Anti-Torture Act. Meaning that these people have committed the crime of torture, criminalized. They should be punished for that.
Mr. Ekine, it seems most of our problems with police brutality lie with tactical units. We've had problems with ICRAC, with the Chima Ekunado case. We've had problems with SARS, and now it's IGP unit. Should we scrap tactical units? How exactly do we address this? Because there's really a problem with that arrangement in the force.
Well, in a way, the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, the foremost human rights organization in Nigeria, we have volunteered several times providing trainings to police officers at all levels. What I would advocate is more of training and retraining, and then the recruitment of the appropriate elements into our security agencies, and then ensuring that we even continually, routinely check the character and, of course, the composition of this individual. Elsewhere, they will subject you to several tests, even alcohol. Do you know that there have been stories of police officers being under the influence of alcohol, even on duty in operation? It is not that we get close to them. Sometimes we perceive them fuming of alcohol. So if there is routine check, you could put a check. I do not think that recommendation would be a complete scrapping of the tactical units. Are we going to get to the point of also advocating a scrapping of the police force entirely? No. But there are errant elements within the force that have to be fished out and punished. There is need for general training and retraining, reorientation of the police. There is need for proper punishment, deliberate punishment for deterrence, for those who are, like now, the commander of Inspector General of Police Intelligence Response Unit at Goroki should be listening and should hear this. And he should be troubled. He should be concerned. Because it's a society where people who head institutions do not give account of their activities and are not held accountable. Irresponsibility becomes a pivotal position. So you see a situation where if right now the commander of that unit hears this and says, who are those that arrested this young man? Rounds them up, carries out an internal investigative mechanism with this, and then comes out public to tell the public that in this report, this is what we have done. These are the individuals involved. We have punished them. Okay. Then relieve them of their engagement in the security outfit, because they are not supposed to be there. They are not elements that are supposed to be our police officers. Then get them handed over to through the public court prosecution process. Okay. This indeed will be some form of deterrent, and then if at all, they will put a check to any other person who is thinking about doing the same thing.
All right.
Then, above all, I think that Nigerians as citizens need to do a whole lot of self-education. I cannot, and all members of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, cannot in any second over 200 million Nigerians at any time. Even as we do this, take out the extra effort, search these laws, you relate with the police, they may come around you. Can't you go to the market and pick up the Police Act and read it yourself and understand what the provisions are, what the powers of the police are, where their powers end? Pick up the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, know what your rights are. And then from there, at least if the policeman engages you, you should be able to say, hey, why are you arresting me? Or if they engage you, you should be able to say, hey, I am not the person who has committed the offense you are looking for, but my brother. So you don't have to arrest me in lieu of my brother. Because the provisions of the law prohibit arresting me because you're looking for my brother. Like a matter we are handling now, they went to arrest a wife of a young man. What has the woman got to do with whatever offense they have alleged against the man?
All right, so since we know that when there's a missing persons report, the headquarters is supposed to reach out to other detention centers, and they do not, should there be like a legal framework to enforce the police to check detention centers? Because when someone is missing, we don't know if they've been abducted by kidnappers or police officers.
Yes, Sam, Nigeria to a great extent is organized and regulated by laws. There is an extant law. The Administration of Criminal Justice Act are now domesticated in several states, including Rivers State. The Administration of Criminal Justice Law has provided, sir, that the chief judge of a state should appoint a designated magistrate and a team that will routinely be visiting detention centers, police cells, from time to time, and inquire and ask, why is this man here in this cell? Why is this man here? How long has he been here? Who is this person? And when the magistrate does so, the magistrate is supposed to have a report back to the Attorney General of the state, including even DPOs, heads of detention centers, to provide reports of persons who are in their custody.
And this is in the Constitution, Mr. Ekine. It's in the Constitution.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm asking. This is Constitution.
We have to go to the Chief Judge of Rivers State to constitute those panels, appointing designated magistrates to different centers. We didn't even get the copy of a reply on that letter.
Okay. It looks like our rights have been abused by the telecom networks. But we'll take a break. And I'm still going to call Mr. Ekine back, because we need to know what this young man needs to do towards activating the legal process to getting justice. Don't go anywhere. It's 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Connect with your customers. Advertise on 92.3 Nigeria Info. Visit our downtown office at Shop 9, Mediatrix of All Gracies Plaza, opposite FIRS, Stadium Road, Port Harcourt, and book your commercials. Call 0817-001-8162. That is 0817-001-8162. And let us connect you to your customers.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
We crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts. And then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you.
On 92.3
Nigeria Info.
Crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Crossfire in the morning.
Crossfire in the morning. Get into the midday dialogue
And tell you about the hard facts, and then let's talk into the chat station.
All for you on 92.3.
Someone grabbed me from behind. Next thing they were like, I don't hold am. This is him. They took me into a car, a Lexus E350. Before I know this, one of them slapped me, punched me on my jaw. So that is how I kept quiet. They took me over to IGP, Borikiri, and they said I shouldn't call anybody. The cell I was in, cell 3, I was kept in that cell and starved. They gave me food just once in 4 days.
This is the Morning Crossfire on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
Welcome back to the Morning Crossfire. The words and voice of Lucky Onisokumen, a Bolt driver, narrating his ordeal in the hands of a police tactical unit. We have a human rights lawyer back on the phone, Henry Ekine. You're welcome once again, Mr. Ekine.
Yes, thank you, Sam.
All right. So, Lucky said that he definitely needs justice. And, well, we know that Abuja seems to be the control center for the IGP unit. It's not local, so we're not reporting to the commissioner here. How exactly should he go about activating the legal process?
Yes, fundamentally, there is a procedure for the enforcement of the fundamental rights of Nigerians anywhere in the country. You can commence that anywhere in the country. He doesn't have to go to Abuja to commence the process or the enforcement of his fundamental rights. Not even just because it happened here, but the fact that even here, he can enforce his right. Now, what does it do? Section 46 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is to the effect that any person who alleges or whose rights have been violated are likely to be violated or being violated. In his own case, his rights have been violated, a number of them. He has to proceed to the court, the High Court, a state High Court or a federal High Court, to take out a fundamental right enforcement proceeding against the police, against the Inspector General of Police, and every element of the police force that took part in this torture, in this violation of his right to dignity, of his right to liberty, and all of the infringements of other extant acts of the National Assembly. And then he does that by engaging a lawyer. A lawyer will take out a fundamental rights action for him. And then Section 35, subsection 6 is clear of the Constitution. Now, once he is able to establish by the holding of a court that his right has truly been violated, then he is entitled automatically to compensation and public apology by the authorities that violated his rights. That's what is open for him, and that's exactly what should take out.
All right, so that process can and should be started locally.
Yes, I said so. The Constitution is to the effect that the fundamental rights enforcement proceedings can be instituted and taken out in a high court, the state high court or the federal high court. He can get a lawyer, and his lawyer will advise him. They can institute that action in the federal high court in Port Harcourt. They can institute it in the River State High Court.
All right, finally,
he doesn't have to go to Abuja to commence that action.
All right, finally, since the protests, and that was just last year, have you noticed any change? Has there been any improvements, the police reforms?
You see, it's really unfortunate that even when this advocacy had actually gone on and it became more pronounced, so to speak, during the NSAS protests across the country, that it only had an effect, a short-lived effect at the time. But after a while, we experienced that the police authorities and their elements and other arresting authorities have gone back to their old character. So it has actually not significantly influenced any change in the activities of the police. Police brutality and torture, extrajudicial killings going on, excessive reactions of the police, even in matters that we are supposed to investigate intelligently, are continuing. And these are actually the issues that form the bedrock of the entire protest at the time. And we said at that time, I remember I said, that it was a movement. The fact that it was NSAS, it didn't mean that we're only after or out to scrap the SAS, the Special Anti-Robbery Squad at the time. But it was a symbolic thing that had to, we expected a total change or improvement in the relations between all arresting authorities and Nigerians in their relationship. But I think it hasn't really shown any difference. Look at it. Look, this is an evidence. And this is just one out of, just this week I've had like 10 of similar matters. I just told you that a young lady, was arrested by, I think that should be anti-kidnapping also, that took over the former SAS premises where Ego Clark took over and disbanded. They took over and they just arrested the lady because her husband and his business partners have some issues. Why would they arrest her? The same thing here now. You arrest the person, you didn't even inform his relatives, you didn't let anybody know, and you torture him and keep him for 5 days. There's no difference from what they were until the NSAS rally, and even after the NSAS rally.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ekine, for your time. We truly appreciate it. Have a lovely day.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Well, the voice in my head is saying something like, are you sure there isn't something wrong with that building? SARS was there, they misbehaved. ICRAC was there, they misbehaved. And the new guys occupying that space. We might have to check if it's a haunted house. But seriously, we're hoping that Mr. Lucky activates the legal option. We really are hoping that happens. 6 minutes left on the clock. I'd like to hear from you. What do you make of this drama? Remember that I've told you our correspondent Soibi Oruwari has reached out to Falls headquarters, Frankenba, and we are yet to get a response. 0817-923-0002. 0817-923-0003. 0817-923-0007. Of course, the female caller line is 0817-923-0009. Turn off your radio. so we have a smooth conversation. Good morning.
Good morning, distinguished Oracle.
Morning.
How are you doing this morning?
Wonderful as always.
Distinguished Oracle, I'm begging you in the name of God. I think this issue, I'm into this issue. My own brother has been arrested on the 25th of February to date. Even when he was arrested, we went there, it was only the control room, the help of the control room, and Mr. Nandi Omoni that confirmed his whereabouts. They came to my community, arrested him, shooting sporadically as if in a disguise, as if it was the case of maybe kidnappers or assassins. Distinguished Oracle, my brother has been in their detention room till date. We have not been disclosed of the crime he committed. Even it is even very difficult for us to assess him now. It was with the help of Nandi Omoni that I was able to see him last week Monday. I'm begging that they should release my brother. His health has been badly affected. My brother has been arrested. It's almost 1 month now, on the 25th. I don't know. You will arrest someone, you won't tell him the crime he committed. You arrest someone, his family members will not know his whereabouts. You will arrest someone, you will dump him in yourself without no investigation. Up to now, they haven't even charged him to court if I thought he has committed any crime. But my brother, I know.
All right, thank you very much for sharing that, Tempo. You can imagine how painful that is. Being Nigerian, you know that kidnappers come in all forms, shapes, and sizes, and now they wear police uniforms. There are lots of innocent citizens in police prison. Try and pay a visit to any police station. You will see the serious business going on, collecting money from citizens. I do not know the kind of mind they have, and they can lie for Africa. Ezekiel Isaiah says on WhatsApp. Good morning, Simon Barrister Ekine. Magistrates and I believe High Court judges are mandated by the Administration of Criminal Justice Act to visit all security agencies with arresting and detention power to monitor, access, interrogate detainees in their facility. Barrister Ekine, does the dereliction of duty due to the failure of magistrate judges constitute professional misconduct? If it does, isn't it time the NJC begins to take steps to sanction those judges? Text. Oh, I wish I'd seen this message while the conversation was on. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, my brother. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How you doing?
Hey, I am just listening to your program, and this first caller, you can see the pains in him. Anyway, I'm Robert calling from where you. You see, I don't know what we're going to do in this country with these police officers. I don't know. Because I am also in pain. How can you will go and arrest somebody and you will ask him not to make a call to contact his people, and you will just take him and go and dump him in the cell and maltreating the person? What kind of country are we? What kind of country? Where are we heading to? We're talking of kidnappers. These policemen are the kidnappers. I can show you. Now, for example, look at this Messiah, the Lulu road. When the police are there, you see that road in a week, you may come across armed robbery. In a week, you can come across armed robbery. But as it stands now that they were not there, that period, you see that the place is calm. So what is really happening? And I don't think if Nigeria will have constitution, I'm seeing it. Because if Nigeria has a constitution, then the constitution will stand for everybody.
All right.
But in this case, it is not for everybody, it's for the rich. The politicians and the people that are in control of this constitution are not the poor men.
All right, I feel your pain. We do have a constitution. Implementation has always been a problem. Now, for Temple, that call did not get to its end. I'm curious as to how Omoni helped you discover the location of your family member, but then became helpless immediately after. So you definitely need a lawyer to pursue that, because somebody has to explain why your relative is in detention. At least that why needs to be established. I have 49 seconds left. A call cannot happen in that time. but a few messages might. It seems police hierarchy is not in touch with its various formations, codenamed IG this and that. Let there be weekly monitoring of all cells across the country to forestall these constant occurrences of illegal arrests before a case is concluded. Yet another one occurs. This is crazy, Dafe says on WhatsApp. Who knows if the police wanted to kill him because of his car, Avalon Big Ship. I learned the IG monitoring team are even worse than the disbanded FSARs, Alaji Usman Bagaje from Rukwaku, and he attaches a picture of the car. I'd like to have the contact of the Defense for Human Rights. Good morning. Okay. Oh well. I believe you should have messages on Twitter. He's been illegally arrested, and we're getting many more reports of persons who have been detained. This is an epidemic, whether or not you want it. But again, you need to activate the legal option, as our guest has said. If you are certain that a member of your family has gone beyond missing to being in police detention, then you need a lawyer and a couple of people to basically go and get them out. Yeah, that's what it is. It's truly sad because, again, we know the laws, but somehow we just cannot use them. It's 9 o'clock. After the news, we'll be talking about school abductions. Apparently, parents of the students abducted in Kaduna are giving the government 48 hours to ensure that their kids are rescued. No one anywhere.